All right, guys, today we're going to start assembling our mud sills, which our floor joists are going to sit on. So the mud sills are going to go around the perimeter of the building, and there's going to be one right down the middle of the building, and that is so because our floor joists only span half the building, so our floor joists are going to be like this, and they're going to land on that mud sill in the middle. So first step is take your combination square and adjust it to the thickness of the mud sill, right, like that. So you got about 9/16 if you look on your combination square. And then trace a line around the outside of the building right here using your combination square and a pencil. I've already got one all the way around there. I don't know if you can see it, all the way around the perimeter of the building. Next, we're going to find the center of our building. So our building's 20 inches wide. So the center is at 10, right there. And then we're going to set back a quarter of an inch, a quarter heavy. And that is so the center of our mud sill ends up in the center of our building. All right, do the same thing at the back. Mark the center, come back a quarter heavy, which is just past a quarter of an inch. And that is where we're going to lay out our center mud sill, right there. So we can draw that line right there. Whoop. We can draw that line right there. All right. So once you've got all your mud sills laid out, you can start marking them to cut them. So the easiest way, you can use your tape measure to mark them, or you can just hold them right in place and mark the underside. Right there. So I'm holding that in place. Take your pencil, mark the underside, and that's our cut line right there. Just got to make sure you're right flush, right on the edges. So you're going to need 2 at that length, and then you're going to need 2 more that'll go in here. So they'll butt those first 2 here and here. They'll stop here and here. So next step is to cut them with your miter box. So if you get your miter box right here, miter box will cut different angles. So if you've got your saw like this, that's a 90 degree, 45 that way, 45 that way, and it'll even cut them on a bevel 45 degrees, okay? Probably not going to use this much. Vast majority of our cuts are just going to be 90 degrees. So take your marked piece right there, hold it in the miter box so that the cut line is just to the other side of the notch in the miter box. Hold that down tight. Use your back saw. Get the cut started by just pulling back across a couple times, and then hold it tight. And cut that off. So this is a Western style saw, so it cuts on the push stroke. You don't need very much pressure. Just go slow and easy, and these cut through pretty quick. All right. This does make a bit of sawdust, so don't do it somewhere where you're going to make a huge mess and your mom's going to be mad at you. So yeah, so that's just one piece right there. That'll go there. I'm going to cut my other pieces, and then I'll show you how these go together. Okay, so I've got my first layer of mud sills cut. You can see there 1, 2, 3 going this way, and the 2 long ones at the front and the back. So your next layer is going to lap over top. So this one, this first layer butts here. This layer is going to go from here clear to the outside, just like a top plate, a double top plate. So that'll tie those two layers together. Right? And then these two will be cut between. So you're going to have three, the full width of your building, and then you're going to have two that fit inside from here to here, here to here. Okay? So I'll show you that now. Okay, so this is the second layer of mudsills cut. So this is what they're going to look like. This one spans, the center girder spans from outside of building to outside of building. These short pieces will are cut between. And that means all my joints are going to be lapped, and it'll tie all this thing together. So it'll give us a nice stable platform to start laying out our floor joists. All right, so I'm back on our first layer of mudsills here. The first layer we cut. So I'm going to attach those or lay those down. We're going to use glue to glue the two layers together, and then a couple of these tiny brads to tack it to hold it till the glue sets up. Try not to get any glue on the subfloor because we don't want it to stick on there. We'll stick that subfloor on later after we get our floor joists on and stuff like that. So we'll take our pieces, lay them out. So that's the first layer. And then our second layer will go on top. So these joints, I'm going to try to line up nice and flush. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there and tack them down. I'm being real careful to keep everything nice and flush. So even though this is kind of a lesson in framing, the tolerances required are more along the lines of cabinet making. So really try to be accurate with your cuts and putting everything together. And you'll be developing those cabinet making and finish trim skills. You don't need too many nails in here, just enough to tack them all together. So I'm going to do that for all these in a little time lapse just to make things go quick. All right, so you can see that's the two layers. There's a little bit of glue squeeze out on there. I'm going to clean up. Some of these joints aren't perfect, but you know, they're pretty close. Try and be as accurate as you can. Make everything as tight as you can because it'll make things a lot easier as you go if everything's really neat and tight. So that's it for the mudsills. All right, so I'm a little bit out of square, so I need to push it this way to square it up a bit. So I'm going to take a couple rubber bands and attach these together. All right. Put some tension overnight from this corner to this corner, so it pulls that square a bit while the glue dries, and then hopefully tomorrow I don't have to worry about it being at a square.